Hi everyone, this is Nana for Tangle Time Arts, and today is day 23 of the Zentangle Advent Tangles. I'm using the calendar put out by MZ Creates, and the information's in the description. Big shout out to MZ Creates because this has been a really fun project. Today is a tangle called, I'm going to pronounce it Enoch, by Danielle DePalma Mabanta. And this indeed looks like a flower tangle, and it could be a flower tangle. But when I was doing some research about this tangle, I learned that actually Enoch is cone spelled backwards. Cone as in pine cone. And I have a couple of pine cones here. And if we take a look at them, you can kind of see, and these are if we look at the bottoms of the pine cone, you can kind of see the pattern that inspired Danielle. And this pine cone maybe shows it a little better. Let's see, maybe. And I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the noise today. I live very close to O'Hare Airport, and due to the holidays, it's a very, very busy day with flights coming in. Um, I hesitated to film last night because of the airplanes, and I think it actually just got busier. So I'm going to go ahead and try to finish this demo for you. I am using a gray Zendala today. If you have a white one, please go ahead because that would have been my first choice. But I guess I'm out of them, so I'm going to use gray, or you can just use a white Apprentice tile or a white piece of computer paper. I have a black pen, a number 2 pencil, a tortillon. I also have a chalk pencil and a tortillon for the chalk pencil. I do have colored pencils today in pinecone colors, I would call them. So I've got browns, green, and a white. And I do have some gel pens on the side, which I probably will use. All right, let's get started here. I am going to actually start with a pencil. So if you look at Enoch, by all means, you can use this as a flower tangle. It would be pretty in many different colors. I am going to do it as a pine cone today. And we're going to start with visualizing a circle in the center. And to do that, I am just going to draw a little pencil circle here for you so that you can visualize that easier. As you work with this tangle, you won't need this circle at all. And I'm going to set my pencil aside and take up my pen. And we're going to draw 4 crescent type of items here. So it's really just a curve, and then you aura that curve. And you do that 4 times. And that's your center. And then, so we have 4 to begin with. And for our second layer, you can do anywhere between 5 and 7. So let's see what we get here. I'm just going to start making, they're kind of like petal shapes, but they're curves. And as we do that, we try to keep the petal shapes within another circle. All right. And then we're just going to aura those curves as well. And this goes pretty quickly because we're just working around in circles. And then we can add a third layer. And again, we're adding more petals as we go around. So instead of we had 6 here, so 4, 6, we're going to have many more petals. And again, you're visualizing a circle around the piece there. I'm just going to start with a petal like that. And then I'm going to add petals onto it from that first petal. And I'm going to rotate my tile as I work around. I'm not counting, I'm just putting in the petal shapes. So you may end up with more or less than I do. And this last one is just going to attach to both petals before and after it. And once we get those in, we're going to aura this time on the inside. Like that. And once you have one pine cone in, or one cone, one Enoch, I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to kind of tuck this one behind the first one. So I'm going to start, if you want to visualize the little circle to be in the beginning, I'm going to kind of visualize that here. And then I'm going to add my 4 crescent shapes there. And then I'm going to start working my way around. And if you come to a point where you hit another petal shape, just pick up your pen and air draw over to the other side and come back around. All right. Okay, and then we will add the auras. Like that. And then I'm going to start a third row, and I'm just going to put in a petal shape there and work off of that one. And again, I'm not counting, I'm just adding as many shapes as needed to work my way around. And then we're going to aura on the inside. that. And then I have to decide would I like to add a third one? And I think I would like to add a third one. So I'm going to put that right in this area. And again, I'll use a pencil so that we can visualize the center. So I'm going to put that about right here. And then pick up my pen and put in those 4 crescent shapes. And then I'm going to start with my second row. Always remember to rotate your tile. Like that. And then aura around it. And then add in your third row. And then we're going to aura inside. All right, so I have 3 here. And if you want to add more, you absolutely could. As you can probably see, these would make wonderful flower tangles. Well, they are flower tangles, but they would be wonderful filled in with pinks or purples or whatever colors. But since I'm thinking pine cone, I'm going to add at this point a tangle called Vertigo. And that's almost like a um a pine tree type of tangle. It has a pine tree look to it. I do have a sample of this is the Nordic pine, and I was repotting my tree and I broke a branch accidentally. So I have this to show you. And as you can see how the needles kind of overlap each other in a hollowbah type of way. And that's kind of the effect that we're going to be looking for with the Vertigo. And to do that, we just start, and I'm going to go work in this direction. So I am just going to come up from, I kind of have a valley in here. So I'm just going to make something, a curve like that. Maybe make it a little longer. And then I'm going to aura that. And I am going to put in a first layer of, I'm going to call them needles. And I'm kind of using a feathery look to them where they come to a point. And I'm just randomly putting them in. I draw a curved line and then I aura that line. They're not all the same size or shape. And I am working on the outside first, and then I'm going to work on the inside. So again, I'm just randomly adding these needles where I think they're going to fit. Okay, now that I have a few base needles in, I'm going to add more. And this is where we kind of get the hollowbot effect. So I'm going to add one going through here, but we don't want to draw over our previous needle. So we're going to start with a line. When we meet the other tangle, the other needle, sorry, we're going to pick up the pen, air draw over to the other side, and keep going. And then we aura that. And do you see how now that needle looks like it's behind this first needle? And then we're going to do that here too. So we're actually just creating layer upon layer of needles. And it has this wonderful effect of going behind the other ones. And once I do one side, then I switch to the other side. And with this one, it's going to run into our little pine cone here, and that's okay. I'm going to actually add one here. Like that. And then from that point, it's just a matter of taking a look at where your previous needles are and then adding some more. And it's going to be very much a random thing rather than a structured thing. At least for me, it is. It's a very organic process where I just take a look and fill in needles where I kind of see an empty space. And then I can also add some needles over here, just some stray needles. All right, and I think I will add another one up here. And as you get towards the tip of your branch, the needles are definitely going to get smaller. All right, so that looks really nice. I am going to go ahead and add another, I guess I would call it a sprig or another little branch of needles. And for this one, I'm going to kind of come out of, I think I'll start here. I'll make that first bigger curve and aura that. And then I will start adding needles. Add one out here too, like that. And then I'll add some to the inside. And then we start adding a second layer. And I think I'm going to work on the inside a little bit. And add some more to the outside. It's really just a personal preference as to how many needles you'd like to add. And that looks pretty good. I really like that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of needles here. Let's see, we can kind of come out of here. And this one's going to obviously be a lot smaller because I don't have a lot of space. Bring that out like that. And I'll add some needles. And a stray needle or two around here. And then start layering in. Again, I apologize for the airplane noise. All right, let's take a look at this. So we have 3 pine cones, and then we have our Vertigo, the pine needle type of tangle. At this point, I think I'm going to add, what would I like to add? I think I'm going to add a few berries, and I like to just tuck in little orbs kind of anywhere there's a little space, but between the needles. And again, it's just a random choice of where you want to put them. So really take a moment to look at your piece and rotate and add them in where you think you would like to add them. I typically like to add them where 2 needles cross over, and I'll just tuck a berry in there. Let's see, I'll put one in here. Yeah, and that's totally optional. Not everyone is fond of the little berries, the little orbs. And let's put one in here. And in there. And let's see, I could probably tuck one in here. All right, that looks really cute. If you would like to add something later, we could add a little fescue in there. But for right now, I'm just going to leave this as it is, and I'm going to do some shading. So I'm going to put the cap on my pen and pick up my pencil, my number 2 pencil, And I am going to do some shading anywhere we have overlap. So right here, this pine cone is behind this one. So I'm adding some shading in there. And I'm just rotating as we go. And this step is especially important if you're only working with your black pen and shading with the pencil. So you definitely want to add the shading in. If you're using colored pencil later, you don't need to do as much shading. But I also like to add shading around where the petals are going behind the others. Well, the petal shapes. I don't know if on a pine cone they're called petals. I'll have to look that up. So I'm just adding a little bit of graphite where something is going behind something else. And I'm going to do the same for the other Enoch tangles. And I think in the future, I definitely will play with it as a flower instead of a pine cone type. And then we're over here. I'm going to add a little shading around there and come back in and do my last Enoch. Okay, so we have some graphite added to that, and I'm going to take my tortillon, the tortillon that I have for graphite, and I'm just going to blend that out. And as many of you know, I really love working with the tortillon and blending. There's just something about it that's so fun. And then moving on to this layer, which defines, it kind of brings this first Enoch out more and puts the other ones behind. These two look a little lower. And my last one, I'm going to rotate my tile. I'm going to kind of blend out those centers a little bit. Okay. So if you're working with just the black pen and the graphite, you can add some graphite along here for your vertigo. Because I'm adding color, I'm not going to be doing that. And this is where you have to make a choice that either you want to keep it this way, or if you want to add color. Color's optional. And I'm going to take that extra step and add color to it. And I'm going to start with, I have a Prismacolor here in Sienna Brown. And I'm just going to add brown to these larger petal shapes in the center here. So I'm just using gentle circular motions. If you would like a darker brown, because pine cones come in different colors, different shades of brown, you could add a different shade of brown. And I also have the dark brown by Prismacolor. And I think for right now, I'm just going to stick with the sienna brown because I'm already working on the gray tile. So my sienna brown is looking a little darker. If you are working on the white paper or a white tile or a white Zendala, you might want to use a darker brown. All right, I have one filled in and I'm going to move to the next one. And I'm not going in any particular order. I like to just color randomly here and there sometimes. That's just how I am. But if you like to work in order or clockwise or counterclockwise, please do so. Whatever's most fun and comfortable for you. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown to my last Enoch here. All right, for a moment, I'm going to leave my Enoch and I'm going to go work on my Vertigo. And I have Prussian Green here. And again, these pine needles can be darker or lighter or a little more blue, depending on what type of pine tree it is. I just chose a really nice healthy green here. And for the center stem part, I'm pressing a little harder. And then for the needles themselves, I am just filling those in lightly. And again, depending on where your needle is, the ones that are further back, you might want to add a little more pressure to. just to give it some depth. And if you don't want to add color, that's totally fine. I'm just demonstrating some options here. And that one's filled in pretty nicely. I might add a little pressure here because it's going behind like that. And then I'm just going to go to my next one. Okay, let me take a look and see. Maybe add a little pressure to this one because it's going behind. And maybe add a little pressure to a couple of these. All right, and we're coming back around to our last one here. And again, I'm just adding a touch of color. I'm not going overboard with color at all. Okay. So here we are. We have this piece. At this point, you need to make some more decisions. Do we want to leave these areas as they are? Or do you want to go in with a darker brown pencil? You could, or you can go in with a gel pen. And I'm going to go in with I have a brownish gel pen. Or you could go in with like a white color so it has more of a snowy type of look. And actually, if we look at this pine cone here, there are some lighter areas, and it looks like that's I don't know if it's sap or maybe pitch from the tree. So there are some of these whiter areas, or if you're visualizing snow, you might want to have those white for snow. But I'm going to go back in and I'm adding a little bit of sparkle. And whenever you're working with gel pens, just make sure they're dry before you move on to your next areas. Otherwise, you're going to get some smearing, which we don't want. Okay, so one's done. That looks really cute. I'm going to do the same for the other two. And I am starting from the center and working out on these. And then moving on to the last one. And again, if you don't have a gel pen, you can use a darker colored pencil or marker, or you can leave them the lighter color, or use white if you're working on a gray Zendala like I am. You could use white and make that like snow. So there's many, many options here. All right, we have those filled in. Those look really cute. These have a little bit of sparkle to them. I don't know if you can see that, but it's really cute. I'm going to put that gel pen aside, and then I'm going to make the berries red. You might want to leave them white, but I'm going to make them red. And I have to decide between the Uniball and the brighter Wexford. So I think I'll go with the Wexford. And I am just going to fill in these little berries here. And at this point, you might look at your project and might want to add more berries, and that's totally fine. You can always go back in and add more, but you can't take them out. And your berries don't have to be red or white. They can be any color you'd like. All right, so we have some cute little berries in there. And actually we could stop there, or if you'd like, you could add some fescue in there. I think I will skip the fescue at this point and maybe just add in a little bit of interest with sometimes if you get a floral bouquet, they have these really nice, they're like squiggly twigs, and sometimes I like to add that type of item in there. Um, oh, hold on. I'll be right back. The doctor's trying to get a hold of me. Sorry. Hi, I'm back. I'm so sorry about that. I have my little Herbie, my little pet, my little baby is not feeling well, and that was the vet. So I'm just gonna wrap this up really quickly because I was lucky enough to get an appointment here for my little guy. So I'm just randomly adding a little bit of detail here, and it's again it's a totally optional thing, and I think that's plenty. And at this point, I am going to put in my chop, my initials. Oh, that's so cute. I really like this one. I hope you like it too, because I love it as a pine cone, but I really want to see it as a flower too. Um, all right, I am going to put my initials in. I'm going to tuck that in right here. If at all possible, I like to work it into the piece rather than off to the side, but you'll have your own preference. And then we can, if your piece is dry, you can flip it over and fill it in. I like to put my name and the date, 12/23/23. Oh, cool. Advent Tangles 2023, and it is day 23, and we have Enoch by Danielle DePalma Mabanta. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And then we also have Vertigo by Zentangle. I'm just going to put Zentangle HQ for Zentangle headquarters, Zentangle Inc. Oh, and then we had some orbs. And that's it for today. This is really cute. The last thing that I would do if you have the time, you can take, and if you're working on a colored piece of paper, you can take the chalk pencil and work your way around the edge like this. And that's the very last thing that I would do. And if you'd like, you can also work in a little bit of the chalk around. I would only go around the little pine cones, the little Enoch. And you don't need a lot, just a little bit, and it kind of has this a little bit of a snowy look. And I do that at the very end because it really comes off very easily. And if you don't have a tortillon just for your chalk pencil, I then blend with just a finger, okay? Not a lot because it's going to come off very easily, but just a little bit like that. And it just adds a really nice kind of wintry effect to it. You don't need a lot. Less is probably more. And that's it. It's adorable. It's really cute. Thank you for joining me today. It was a tough day, I know. So thank you for sticking it out with me and for hanging in there. I apologize for the interruptions and for the airplane noise. It is the holidays and it is very busy. Thanks for following me and subscribing. And I hope you have a great day. And I hope you come back for our last day and our last tangle. I'll see you then. Love you guys. Bye.